What's up, guys? I'm Caden with Crypto Now or Never, and welcome back to another Cocoro update. If you enjoy this style of content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. As always, none of this is financial advice. Let's get into it.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want.
Okay, so it's been just over a week since I last covered Cocoro, and you can see that Cocoro has actually had a nice little bounce. It's up about 21% in the last day, and Cocoro is actually back to a $1.47 million market cap. And kind of what I've been pointing out in my previous Cocoro videos is that we have just completely started to see price action flatten out. And typically, from a technical analysis standpoint, when you see price action starting to flatten out, it means you're probably pretty close to finding a bottom. Now, does that mean that Cocoro can't drop lower? Of course not. There's absolutely a chance that Cocoro can drop lower, and if Bitcoin and Ethereum drop lower, there's a good chance that Cocoro would as well. I just want to point out, though, from a structural standpoint, that this could end up being a decent accumulation zone if you believe in this project long term. What I do want to point out, though, about Cocoro's gains is if you come over here to CoinMarketCap and you look at the Memecoin section, that would be the highest in the daily gainers. So this is actually only tracking projects that are in the top 1,000. However, you guys know, again, Cocoro's up 21%. So the top gainer that it's showing on CoinMarketCap is 6.1%. And if you just look at the market as a whole, you can see that this is during a time where Bitcoin is actually dropping. Bitcoin's down 1.8% in the last day. Ethereum's down 1.3% in the last day. So it's especially bullish to see Cocoro's bounce whenever the market's bleeding. Now, the main thing that I'm watching for Cocoro is just to see if we can at least get back above this previous local high. I would like to see some sort of an uptrend begin. If it doesn't, then just honestly expect more consolidation. And we may see more consolidation regardless, though. But what you'd be looking for from a technical analysis standpoint is just a higher local high. Now, I also understand that technical analysis on microcap meme coins can be very hit or miss. So take this with a grain of salt. Understand that a couple large buys and a couple large sells can change everything. And obviously there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes, like the Uniswap issues. Obviously, if something like that were to get resolved, I would not be shocked at all if Cocoro had a huge explosion. At the same time, though, if it never gets resolved, then it's probably just going to continue bleeding. That's just the reality of the situation. I don't like to tell you guys that, but that's probably how it's going to play out. I genuinely think there's a lot riding on this Uniswap situation. I will say, if you come over and you look at Cocoro on CoinMarketCap, they currently have very good volume, 325,000. From a volume to market cap ratio, it is 22.4%. That is actually very bullish to see, especially with the Uniswap issue. If you go and you look at a lot of projects, they're going to have less than 10% from a volume to market cap ratio. So Cocoro being 22% is actually very nice. Now, obviously, some projects do see some volume manipulation, so that is also important to understand. But in general, you always want to look at total volume. Now, before I take a look at Cocoro's X account, I also just quickly want to show you this. So over 4 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum options are going to expire today. Obviously, as we looked at on CoinMarketCap, we're already seeing some volatility, but definitely expect volatility today. We almost always see a lot of volatility when options are expiring, so make sure you understand that. Now, if we look at the Cocoro X account, they currently have just over 1,100 followers, and they haven't actually posted anything since November 27th. And I know a lot of people out there would like to see Cocoro post more frequently. However, I just want to point out that they cannot risk getting an X account suspended. You have to understand, from their perspective, they've already had 2 or 3 X accounts suspended, and they had a Telegram that was hacked and deleted. With everything that is going on right now with the Uniswap situation and Etherscan and all that stuff, they cannot afford to get another X account suspended. But just know that they do have an X account, so if you don't already follow this account and you're interested in this project, then come over and give them a follow. Now, I do also just want to come back over to CoinMarketCap and make sure you still understand where we're at from an overall market standpoint. So if you look at the fear and greed index right now, you can see that we are still at 25, which is fearful. We have actually climbed out of the extreme fear, but this is still very low. And you have to understand that when you look at the all-time fear and greed index chart, we have not been this fearful since 2022. I'm not talking about this specifically right here, but especially where we were when we were all the way down at 10. That was the lowest that we had been in a very long time. And also, if you look at like Bitcoin on the weekly time frame as an example, the RSI hadn't been this oversold since 2022 as well. I've pointed this out a lot recently, but look at the RSI. These same levels hadn't been seen all the way down here since 2022. Where was Bitcoin at during this time? $16,000 a coin. So obviously, when you see something like that, there's a good chance that you're going to get a bounce. Buying Bitcoin when it is the same oversold as it was in 2022, when Bitcoin is at $85,000 a coin, is crazy. That right there tells you that price action does not match the current sentiment. In addition, what I always point out is the stochastics. We are extremely oversold right now. Yes, we've already gotten a decent little bounce. However, it hasn't really moved at all on the stochastics yet. If you look at the previous times throughout Bitcoin's history, we were extremely oversold in March of 2025, Very strong move. Extremely oversold back here in August and September of 2024. Very strong move. And you go back through Bitcoin's history, you'll see that happen pretty much every single time. I know a lot of you guys are probably tired of me repeating that, but I just want to get that through your head. A lot of people are asking me whether or not I think we're heading into a bear market. I personally cannot say that unless we put in a lower macro low and then a lower macro high. At the current moment, we are still clearly holding a higher macro low. I don't know how so many people can say that we're heading into a bear market when that is the case. Now, obviously, you could argue that I trust technical analysis more than a lot of people, but it's just hard for me to ignore certain metrics and indicators. But honestly, that's about all I have for you guys today. Just understand that the larger timeframes on Bitcoin still look very good. We absolutely could see some short-term volatility, especially with options expiring today. But overall, market conditions are getting better and better. Quantitative tightening just ended on December 1st. That is huge. Now, there are no guarantees that quantitative easing is going to be starting, but it's absolutely something to keep in mind. But if you guys are interested in market updates just like this and getting into projects super early in general like Cocoro, then I always recommend taking a look at my Discord as well. I know a lot of these projects have been getting sold off, but we've made some huge multipliers in here this cycle. And as market conditions get better and better, projects are going to pump harder and harder. So if this is the kind of community that you'd like to be a part of, you can find the link right here on my YouTube homepage. And I'd love to have you guys in here with us. So that's about all. Let me know down in the comments how you guys are feeling about Cocoro. If you enjoyed this content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.